Everyone in the office has noticed. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Even the laziest employees have been on their best behavior lately, barely daring to glance at their phones. Our boss, Aurora, has been working like a machine, putting in overtime every single day. And of course, nobody dares to leave before she does. Because of that, we've all been staying at the office until 11 or 12 at night. I have massive dark circles under my eyes, and my skin has started breaking out from the stress. The break room conversations have become whispered speculation about what could possibly be wrong with her. Some think she's dealing with a difficult merger. Others suspect she's gunning for an even higher position and wants to impress the board. But I'm probably the only one in the entire company who knows the real reason for her terrible mood. It's because my boss just got dumped. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Aside from the brutal work hours, I'm the one who broke up with her. She just doesn't know it yet. She has absolutely no idea that the person she's been pouring her heart out to online, the person she's been in a relationship with for 2 years, is sitting 3 desks away from her office door, pretending to work on spreadsheets while avoiding her gaze. My name is Mason, and I've somehow managed to create the most complicated situation of my entire life. Let me explain how I got here, because trust me, I didn't plan any of this. It all started 2 years ago with a forum post that caught my attention for all the wrong reasons. I was browsing online one evening, killing time the way most people do after work. That's when I stumbled across a post with a title that made me do a double take. It read, "Why can't I find a partner?" Curious, I clicked on it. The post was written by someone who described themselves in a way that seemed almost too good to be true. Female, 5'9", 99 pounds, 25 years old. Graduate in management science and engineering from an Ivy League university. Currently a vice president at a Fortune 500 company with a 7-figure salary. Has a house, a car, and claims to be beautiful. Still single. Wondering what she's doing wrong. The comment section was absolutely merciless. People were tearing her apart. Obviously an attention-seeking post. One person wrote. Another said, "Seriously? A 25-year-old VP? Either it's daddy's company or it's daddy's company." Someone else chimed in with, "Oh, please, at least make your lies believable." I found myself amused by the whole thing. On a whim, I left a comment of my own. "Maybe it's your appearance," I wrote. Why not post a picture? I didn't think much of it after that. I closed the browser and went about my evening, assuming I'd never hear anything more about it. But a few hours later, I received a private message notification. "Hey," she wrote, "can I send you a picture privately?" I was confused but intrigued. Why would someone respond to a slightly sarcastic comment with an offer to share photos? But curiosity got the better of me. "Sure," I replied, thinking it could be entertaining at the very least. A moment later, a picture appeared in my inbox. I nearly spit my coffee all over my keyboard. 5'9", maybe in her dreams. She looked like she was barely 5'3" in the photo. It was a poorly framed mirror selfie, the kind that screams, "I don't know how cameras work." Her face was partially obscured by thick, black-rimmed glasses that looked like they belonged in a different decade. Her outfit was a walking advertisement for outdated fashion choices. But here's what stopped me from closing the message and moving on with my life. Her features were undeniably stunning. The lips, the nose, the eyes. Everything about her face screamed hidden beauty. She just had absolutely no idea how to present herself. It was like looking at a diamond covered in mud, and for some reason I couldn't quite place. She seemed strangely familiar. I found myself zooming in and out on the picture, studying her features, thinking about all the gorgeous women out there who are completely oblivious to their potential. Something in me wanted to help. Call it kindness, call it boredom, call it whatever you want. I decided to offer some advice. I wrote her a detailed reply. You need to improve your style. Swap the glasses for something more subtle. Or try contacts. Don't take pictures from that angle. Tilt the phone slightly so the charging port points toward you. It's more flattering. Change that skirt for something shorter, maybe black. And for the love of everything, invest in better lighting. Her response was simple. Thank you so much. I smiled at my screen, feeling like I'd done my good deed for the day and moved on with my life. Or so I thought. The next day, she sent me a new photo. A task submission, she called it. She had followed all of my advice, and the difference was remarkable. The glasses were gone, replaced by contacts that let her eyes shine. The lighting was better. The angle was more flattering. She looked like a different person. Then she did it again the next day, and the day after that. Day after day, she sent me updates, asking for my opinion, implementing every suggestion I made. By the 5th day, I was starting to get annoyed. This had become a full-time, unpaid consulting gig, and I had my own life to live. That's when she asked if she could pay me for my consulting services and requested my personal contact details. I thought about it for a moment. Why not? Money is money. And if she was willing to compensate me for my time, who was I to refuse? I gave her my private account information, expecting a simple transaction. A moment later, a familiar profile picture popped up with a friend request. My blood ran cold. It was Aurora, my boss, the vice president of our division, the woman who signed off on my performance reviews and had the power to fire me with a single email. I froze, my finger hovering over the screen. My mind was racing, trying to process what I was seeing. The woman I'd been giving style advice to, the one with the hidden beauty and terrible fashion sense, was the same person who terrorized our department with her demanding standards and sharp tongue. In my panic, my finger slipped. Before I could stop myself, I had accepted the friend request. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I scrambled to adjust my settings, switching everything to chat-only mode, and prayed she wouldn't figure out who I was. My profile picture was vague enough. My name wasn't exactly unique. Maybe, just maybe, I could get away with this. A message appeared on my screen. Thank you so much for all your advice. Here's a small token of appreciation. Then she sent me $5,000 with a note that said, "Gift, no strings attached." I stared at the screen in complete silence. I double-checked her profile picture against the images she had sent me online. There was no doubt about it. My stunning online crush was, in fact, my boss. Well, crap. I accepted the money. At least she didn't know it was me. I rationalized. And honestly, $5,000 is $5,000. After that, I continued helping her improve her style. She was a quick learner, implementing every suggestion with precision and dedication. Within weeks, she had transformed completely. She exuded a new kind of confidence at the office. People noticed. Kenneth, my direct supervisor, noticed especially. His crush on her was the worst-kept secret in the company, and he practically tripped over himself whenever she walked by. I was gearing up to quietly exit her life, to fade away before things got complicated. I'd done my good deed. She looked amazing. Time to move on. But just when I thought I was in the clear, she caught me completely off guard. She confessed her feelings. It started with a long emotional message, a love letter of sorts. I skimmed through most of it until I got to the last line. "I wanted to tell you this for a long time. I like you." I froze at my desk, staring at my phone like it had grown teeth. "Thanks," I replied after a long pause. "What?" she asked. "I appreciate it," I typed back, hoping that would be the end of it. "No, I'm serious. I really like you, and I value your help so much. Can I at least have a chance to win you over?" I didn't reply that night. I couldn't sleep either. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how my life had become this complicated. The next morning, she started sending me good morning messages, then good afternoon messages, then good night messages. She kept me updated about her day, as if we were already dating, heading to work, just arrived at the office, about to start a meeting. Her persistence was, to say the least, unique. I replied here and there, trying to be disinterested, but it only seemed to encourage her more. A month later, things took an unexpected turn that I absolutely did not see coming. I was scrolling through social media one evening, admiring pictures of models the way people do when they're bored, when I accidentally shared one of them with Aurora instead of my friend. "Wow, she's gorgeous." I'd lick the screen, I wrote, followed by a video. By the time I realized my mistake, it was too late. Aurora had already seen it. Question mark, she replied. I felt a pang of guilt wash over me. Sure, appreciating beauty is natural, but something about sending that to her felt wrong. We weren't together, but she clearly had feelings for me. And here I was drooling over some random model. Then out of nowhere, she sent me a message that made my jaw drop. Is this your type? Attached was a video. It seemed freshly recorded, taken at a gym. The person in the video wasn't extremely muscular, but had pale, smooth skin with defined lines that disappeared just below workout shorts. The person in the video seemed shy, and by the end of the clip, her face was completely red with embarrassment. I was mesmerized. Got more? I typed before I could stop myself. Send me another. She hesitated. Eventually sent a few more videos, each more stunning than the last. I was completely captivated by what I was seeing. Who could have imagined that my boss, always so serious and composed at work, could be like this in private? There was something strangely thrilling about the whole situation. Just as I was enjoying everything, another message popped up. If you agree to be my boyfriend, I'll send you videos like this every day, as many as you want. I sat there weighing my options. People spend their lives chasing money, power, fame, and beauty. The first three don't mean that much to me, honestly. But that last one? That's my weakness. Well, I guess I could consider it, I replied. But I set some ground rules. No public announcements. No changing profile pictures. No video calls. And absolutely no meeting in real life under any circumstances. She wasn't thrilled with the conditions. I could tell from the way she argued back, trying to negotiate. But eventually she agreed. And that's how it started. We dated online for 2 years. As she improved her style and continued to showcase her beauty, I was more than happy to reap the benefits. Her photos and videos became increasingly impressive, and she nailed every suggestion I made. It was, in a twisted way, the perfect arrangement. I got to admire a beautiful woman without any of the complications of a real relationship, and she got the validation and attention she craved. I thought this arrangement could last forever. Until one day, she asked to meet in person. Didn't we agree from the start that there would be no meetings? I reminded her, this is strictly an online thing. She seemed hurt by my response. I know, but I really want to see you. I knew exactly why she was pushing for this. A few days earlier, I had attended an alumni reunion. Afterward, an old classmate confessed her feelings for me. I politely declined, but she didn't take it well. She started bombarding me with embarrassing messages, and in my frustration, I took screenshots, posted everything on social media to expose her behavior, and blocked her. Since I was in a relationship, even if only online, Aurora had probably seen the post. I figured she wanted to meet to stake her claim publicly, to establish herself as my girlfriend in the real world. But I had my reasons for not wanting to meet her. There was absolutely no way I could agree to that. If she found out her online boyfriend was one of her employees, everything would fall apart. After avoiding her attempts for a week, I eventually got annoyed with her persistence. The constant requests, the pleading, the guilt trips. It was exhausting, so I ended the relationship. She was utterly devastated. Like a deflated balloon, all the confidence and energy she'd built up over 2 years seemed to drain out of her in an instant. My phone wouldn't stop ringing with her calls. Message after message flooded my inbox, each one more desperate than the last. I sighed, placed my phone face down on the table, and ignored it all. That's when Kenneth, my direct supervisor, called me over to his desk. Mason, take this proposal to Aurora. Kenneth's crush on Aurora was obvious to everyone in the office. Normally, he would find any excuse to see her, to be in her presence, to bask in her attention. But lately, with her terrible mood, even he was keeping his distance. The last time he tried to console her, she was so curt that he practically ran out of her office with his tail between his legs. I looked at him skeptically. Kenneth, isn't this a bit above my pay grade? Shouldn't you be doing this instead? Don't make me repeat myself, he said firmly. Fine. I grabbed the proposal and headed toward her office. Even though I'd basically seen everything about Aurora online, meeting her in person was still nerve-wracking, especially at work, where she was known for being strict, sharp-tongued, and even intimidating. The duality was jarring. Online, she was vulnerable, open, affectionate. At work, she was a force of nature that made grown men tremble. I hesitated outside her door, my heart pounding. Since I'd broken up with her, Aurora had been bombarding me with apologies online. I hadn't responded, not because I didn't care, but because I needed to let things cool down. Before knocking, I quickly typed a message on my phone. We don't need to break up, but could you please behave? I really don't like it when people break promises. Her response came instantly. Baby, you're finally talking to me. I'll never do it again, I promise. She even added a crying puppy emoji. I sighed, mustering my courage, and knocked on her office door. There was a brief silence before I heard her clear her throat and say, "Come in." Her red nose caught my attention immediately as I walked in. Had she been crying? The contrast between the powerful executive I knew at work and the heartbroken woman I knew online had never been more stark. Aurora noticed my gaze and shifted uncomfortably. She tapped the desk lightly and said, "Leave the proposal here and go." Her tone was noticeably softer than usual. On any other day, she would have scolded me for going over Kenneth's head, for not following proper protocol. But today, she seemed too tired to care. Still, the proposal wasn't up to her standards. It was sent back for revision, and naturally, Kenneth threw the work back at me. On Friday, everyone else left early, excited for the weekend. Aurora, for the first time in weeks, left on time. The office quickly emptied, leaving just me and the receptionist. I stayed behind to work on the proposal, promising the receptionist I'd lock everything up when I was done. She left, and I settled in for a long night alone. It was past 10 o'clock when I heard the sound of the door unlocking. My heart raced. Who could it be at this hour? Images from horror movies flashed through my mind. I swallowed hard, reminding myself that ghosts weren't real. Even so, I froze, holding my breath. Then a familiar figure appeared. It was Aurora. "Why are you still here?" she asked, visibly surprised. "Don't you have a home to go to?" I held back the urge to snap back. "Whose fault do you think this is?" I thought. Instead, I replied calmly, "The proposal is due tomorrow, and I didn't want to risk leaving it unfinished. I thought it'd be better to stay late and complete it." Her expression softened. "Oh, that proposal. I'll help you. It'll go faster if I just explain what I want directly." I froze. My computer was logged into my personal account, the same one I used to message her. If you saw my screen, everything would be exposed. She stepped closer. "Open it for me. I want to take a look." Panic seized me. Every step she took toward me felt like an earthquake. "Wait just a second," I exclaimed, placing my hand on the keyboard as if guarding something confidential. Aurora raised an eyebrow, curious and suspicious. "Why the rush, Mason? What are you hiding?" "It's not that," I stammered. "It's just that the file isn't ready yet. I was finalizing some adjustments. I don't want you to see an incomplete draft." It was a weak excuse, and I knew it. Aurora narrowed her eyes but stepped back. "All right, I'll wait, but be quick. I don't have all night." She moved to the desk next to mine and sat down, crossing her legs. Her presence was overwhelming, and every second felt like an eternity. I kept typing furiously, but my mind was elsewhere. How could I get out of this without her finding out? I needed a distraction. "Aurora, are you sure you want to review this now? You look exhausted. Maybe we could go over it tomorrow with fresh minds." It was a shot in the dark, but to my surprise, she let out a small sigh and uncrossed her arms. "You're right. I am tired, but I can't leave things unfinished. You know how I am." Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, it felt like there was something deeper in her words. While she spoke, I realized that her intensity didn't come just from work. It was something personal. Maybe it was about the breakup, or perhaps it was the pressure she put on herself. Either way, it gave me an opening. All right, give me 5 minutes and I'll send you a preliminary version to review at your convenience. I quickly opened another tab and created a fake draft with some generic ideas. It wasn't brilliant, but it would buy me time. She nodded, but her expression remained strange, as if she wanted to say more. Mason, can I ask you something? Her voice was low, almost hesitant, which was rare for her. Of course. I was expecting something work-related, but what she said next caught me completely off guard. Why did you break up with me? Was it something I did? Was it me? Her eyes locked onto mine, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. She wasn't the tough, confident boss anymore. This was Aurora, the woman I knew online, open and hurt. I felt a lump form in my throat. I could lie, come up with some excuse, but something in her expression disarmed me. Aurora, it wasn't you. I just felt like things were moving too fast, that maybe we crossed some boundaries we shouldn't have. She looked down, biting her lower lip. I see, but you never gave me a chance to fix it. You just cut everything off suddenly. Do you know what that did to me? I didn't know how to respond. There was no justification that could fix this. But before I could say anything, she stood up. It doesn't matter. It's in the past. Let's focus on work, okay? Her posture shifted back to the composed boss, but the way she avoided my gaze told me this wasn't resolved for her. I handed her the improvised draft, and she reviewed it silently. Every time her eyes moved across the text, I braced myself for the worst. Finally, she spoke. It's not bad. It could work with some adjustments. I'll send it to Kenneth as it is. Good night, Mason. She left without looking back, leaving the room in oppressive silence. My secret identity was safe, for now, but something told me it wouldn't stay that way for long. As I packed up my things, a notification popped up on my phone. It was a message from Aurora. I still think you're hiding something, but whatever it is, I'll find out. I swallowed hard. This wasn't just a simple suspicion. She was determined. The next morning, Aurora was different. She didn't glance at me as she usually did. She didn't make her usual quick remarks about tasks. Instead, she seemed more reserved, almost calculating. That alone was a red flag. At the end of the day, I received a message from her. I need to talk to you. Conference room. Now, the cold tone was unusual, especially after our recent emotional interactions. I took a deep breath and headed to the conference room. When I entered, Aurora was sitting at the head of the table, a laptop open in front of her. She didn't look at me immediately, continuing to type for a few more seconds before finally raising her eyes. Her expression was a mix of bewilderment and cold fury. She closed the laptop with a sharp click and crossed her arms. So, Mason, she began, her voice like ice. Care to explain this? She picked up her phone, opened a file, and slid it across the table toward me. It was a compilation of messages, images, and videos exchanged between us during our 2-year online relationship. My advice, my responses, the photos she had sent. It was all there. But what stunned me was the fact that she had screenshots of my profile, something I had never sent her directly. How did you get this? I asked, panic rising in my chest. Aurora tilted her head, her eyes boring into mine. I'm a vice president at a Fortune 500 company, Mason. Did you really think I couldn't connect the dots? You were sloppy. A detail here, another there. She made a gesture with her hands, as if solving a puzzle. Listen, Aurora, I can explain, I began. But she cut me off with a wave of her hand. Explain? Go ahead. Try. Because from where I'm standing, this is sick. She stood up, pacing the room, as she continued. You knew who I was from the start. And instead of being honest, you stuck around pulling strings, manipulating me, watching me up close while pretending to be someone else. That's not normal, Mason. That's obsession. It wasn't like that, I protested. I never meant to manipulate you. I just got caught in a situation that spiraled out of control. I never planned any of this. Oh, didn't you? She laughed bitterly. Then why did you continue? Why did you accept the money? Why did you let me be vulnerable, knowing I trusted you blindly? I opened my mouth to respond, but the words failed me. Anything I could say felt hollow. Aurora wasn't just my boss. She was an intelligent woman who now viewed everything I had done in the worst possible light. "You know what this makes me think?" she said, leaning slightly forward, her hands braced on the table. "That you have a problem, a serious problem. You built this relationship with me knowing who I was and never stopped to think about the impact it would have on me when the truth came out." "Aurora, I care about you," I said, my voice heavy with emotion. "I know I made mistakes, but I never wanted it to end like this." "Care about me?" She let out another bitter laugh. "You were close to me the entire time, Mason. At work, in the halls, in meetings. And yet you decided to create a version of yourself to deceive me. That's not care. That's control." "I never wanted to control you," I said, trying to defend myself. "I fell for you before I even knew who you were in real life. When I found out, I was scared. Scared of losing you. Scared it would ruin everything. And it did, Mason." She sat back down, crossing her arms. "I trusted you, truly. But now all I see is a man who crossed every boundary. Someone who turned what could have been something real into a twisted game of lies." I felt a lump in my throat. She had every right to be angry. I had made terrible choices, driven by fear and indecision. "So that's it?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "It's over?" Aurora stared at me for a long moment, her eyes scrutinizing every inch of my face. "I don't know, Mason," she said finally, her voice softer but still firm. "What I do know is that right now I need distance. I need to think about whether I can ever trust you again, or if everything you represent is just a reminder of how I was deceived." She stood up, picking up her laptop and heading toward the door. Before leaving, she paused and glanced over her shoulder. "One last thing, Mason. I truly hope you understand the impact of your choices. Because right now I don't know who you really are." When the door closed behind her, the silence in the room was deafening. I sat there alone, staring at the empty space and reflecting on everything that had led to this moment. There was no undoing what I had done, but perhaps there was still a chance to learn from it. Aurora was right. My choices had led us to this point. And now, if I wanted to earn her trust again, it wouldn't be through words, but through actions. Or perhaps I simply had to accept that this was the end. Some mistakes can't be fixed with apologies. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. I had spent 2 years living a double life, and now I was paying the price for it. The woman I had grown to care for, despite everything, now looked at me like a stranger. Worse than a stranger. Like someone who had betrayed her in the most intimate way possible. As I finally gathered my things and left the conference room, I realized that the hardest part wasn't losing her. It was knowing that I had no one to blame but myself. The office was empty as I walked through it one last time that evening. The same office where I had watched her from afar, keeping my secret close to my chest. The same office where she had transformed from an awkward woman hiding behind thick glasses into the confident executive who now wanted nothing to do with me. I stepped outside into the cold night air and looked up at the building. Somewhere up there, Aurora was probably still working, still processing everything she had learned. And I was down here alone, wondering if I would ever find a way to make things right, or if some mistakes are simply too big to overcome. Mason, an ordinary office employee, stumbles upon a forum post that changes his life forever. A woman claiming to be a 25-year-old vice president at a Fortune 500 company posts about her struggles finding a partner, listing impressive credentials, including an Ivy League degree and 7-figure salary. The comments mock her relentlessly, dismissing her claims as attention-seeking lies. Amused, Mason leaves a sarcastic comment suggesting she post a picture. To his surprise, she privately sends him a photo. While her claims about her height seem exaggerated and her fashion sense is questionable, Mason notices something striking beneath the surface. Her features are undeniably beautiful, but she has no idea how to present herself. Feeling generous, he offers detailed style advice about her glasses, clothing, angles, and lighting. What starts as a one-time interaction becomes a daily routine. She sends him updated photos following his suggestions, and the transformation is remarkable. When she offers to pay him for his consulting services and requests his personal contact information, Mason agrees without thinking much of it. That's when everything falls apart. The friend request that appears on his screen belongs to Aurora, his boss. The strict, intimidating vice president of his department is the same woman he's been advising online. Panicking, Mason accidentally accepts the request and scrambles to hide his identity by adjusting his privacy settings. Aurora, oblivious to who she's really talking to, sends him $5,000 as a thank you gift. Despite knowing the truth, Mason continues helping her. He watches her confidence grow at the office as her transformation takes hold. He plans to quietly fade from her online life before things get complicated. But Aurora surprises him with an emotional confession. She reveals she has developed feelings for him. Mason tries to brush it off, but Aurora proves relentless. She sends good morning and good night messages daily, updating him about her day as if they're already together. Her persistence eventually wears him down, especially after an accidental message changes everything. Mason mistakenly sends Aurora a flirtatious comment meant for a friend about an attractive model. Feeling guilty, he's caught off guard when Aurora responds by sending videos of herself, revealing a side of her he never imagined. The serious, composed boss he knows at work is shy, vulnerable, and stunning in private. She offers to send him content like this every day if he agrees to be her boyfriend. Mason accepts, but with strict conditions. No public announcements, no profile picture changes, no video calls, and absolutely no meeting in real life. Aurora reluctantly agrees, and they begin a secret online relationship that lasts 2 years. Everything seems perfect until Aurora asks to meet in person. Mason refuses, reminding her of their agreement. The request comes shortly after he publicly exposed an old classmate who confessed feelings for him at a reunion. Mason suspects Aurora saw the post and wants to stake her claim as his girlfriend publicly. But meeting her would reveal his identity as her employee. So he continues refusing. After a week of persistent requests, Mason grows frustrated and ends the relationship abruptly. Aurora is devastated. Her mood at work becomes unbearable, and the entire office suffers. Employees stay until midnight because no one dares leave before her. Only Mason knows the real reason for her misery. When Mason's supervisor sends him to deliver a proposal to Aurora, the tension between his two identities reaches a breaking point. He briefly reconciles with her online, promising they don't need to break up if she respects their boundaries. But things escalate when Mason stays late at the office one night to finish revisions. Aurora unexpectedly returns and offers to help him. Mason panics because his computer is logged into the same account he uses to message her. He barely manages to distract her, creating a fake draft by time. But Aurora senses something is off. Before leaving, she asks him directly why he broke up with her, her vulnerability showing through her professional exterior. Mason deflects, and Aurora leaves with the revised proposal. But she sends him a warning message. She knows he's hiding something, and she intends to find out what. The next day, Aurora summons Mason to the conference room. She's done her research. As a vice president with considerable resources, she connected the dots Mason thought he'd hidden so carefully. She presents a compilation of their messages, photos, and videos, along with screenshots proving his identity. Aurora confronts him with cold fury. She accuses him of manipulation, deception, and obsession. She points out that he knew who she was from the beginning and chose to continue the charade, accepting her money and her trust while watching her from 3 desks away. What could have been something real became a twisted game of lies. Mason tries to explain that he never planned any of it, that he was scared of losing her when he discovered the truth. But his excuses ring hollow. Aurora tells him she trusted him completely, and now all she sees is someone who violated every boundary and deceived her in the most intimate way possible. She doesn't give him a definitive answer about their future. Instead, she tells him she needs distance to decide whether she can ever trust him again. She leaves him with a final observation. She doesn't know who he really is anymore. Mason sits alone in the conference room, overwhelmed by the consequences of his choices. He realizes there's no undoing what he's done. If he ever wants to earn Aurora's trust again, it won't be through words, but through genuine change. Or perhaps he simply has to accept that some mistakes are too significant to overcome, and this chapter of his life has reached its inevitable, painful conclusion. The story ends with Mason acknowledging that he has no one to blame but himself, left wondering if redemption is even possible when trust has been so thoroughly broken.